yanakuwa yanajikita sana. Thank you very much. Mouya, continue. Sorry. Shabaha, if I forget something, just jump in. Go on, Mouya.
And I'll just conclude now because I'm sure that there's much to discuss. So in Tanzania in particular, we've worked on a number of cases, and I think you mentioned them a bit. If I picked up a little bit, the case of Kwanza TV that was arbitrarily taken off, was taken down because of reporting on COVID issues. We've been working on independence of the legal profession. We started way back in 2017. I think there was a bombing of a law firm, as well as the attempted assassination of, at that time, the president of the Law Society, Tundu Lissu, and then also the attacks, I think, on another law firm. And then there were several regulations that were passed that limited the independence or the self-regulation of the legal profession. And then most recently, we've been working on Advocate Fatma Karuma's case. She was arbitrarily suspended in what we believe is retaliation for her criticism of the government publicly, as well as issues of the independence of the judiciary. And then, of course, we've been working on, or we worked on Tito Magoti's case, a lawyer associated with the Legal and Human Rights Center. And in that case, I don't know if Maria, at this point, you want me to go into detail, because I think that's part of the conversation that we're having now.
Yes. So just very quickly, I'll mention the cases so that they know some of the cases.
Exactly. So that's, more broadly, we've been
kesi ya Tito Magoti na kesi mbalimbali akielezea hapo kwa ambao waelewi.
As I mentioned, freedom of expression, association and assembly, to open up the civic space. Tanzania has its regional and international legal obligations, and just basically advocating for Tanzania to adhere to those. And I look forward to having an engaging conversation on these issues.
Sure. Kwa hiyo kwa kifupi, kwa upande wa Tanzania wamejikita sana kwenye kesi mbalimbali zinazohusu uhuru wa kujieleza, uhuru mbalimbali wa haki za kibinadamu, pamoja na kuhakikisha kwamba uwanja wote wa kijamii inapokuja kwenye haki na huru hizi zinakuwa wazi. Baadhi ya kesi ambazo wamekuwa wakijihusisha au kuizungumzia kimataifa ni pamoja na kesi ya Tundu Lissu, kesi ya Kwanza TV ya Fatma Karume, pamoja na sheria au miongozo mbalimbali ambayo inatumika katika kubana haki za mbalimbali za kikatiba. Lakini pia kama nilivyokuwa nimeizungumzia, na yeye amezungumzia kesi ya Tito Magoti. Sasa kama alivyoeleza, Tanzania pia imeweka, wanasema sasa saini, sio sahihi, imeweka saini kwenye mikataba mbalimbali ya kimataifa. Kwa hiyo wanatumia njia hiyo katika kuikumbusha Tanzania kwamba wanalazimika kufuata mikataba hiyo. Kwa hiyo tupate kumsikiliza, na kama tunavyoona, ili kujaribu kuokoa muda, nitakuwa natoa tu brief summary, lakini naamini wengi mnaelewa. Mouya, kindly continue.
So you want me at this point to dive into the issues in more detail?
Yes, specifically around what you said, the international obligations and around these rights.
Okay, and I must, again, it's around
arbitrary detention. Yes.
Arbitrary detention. So part of our program is trial observation. So we independently observe trials. So we send an independent observer to monitor trials, and this is to try and promote fair trials. And the right to a fair trial is guaranteed under regional and international law, Article 14, and I think Article 14 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And Tanzania is a party to that. Tanzania is also a party to the African Charter. Due process rights are also guaranteed under Tanzania's own constitution. So as a legal organization, we are, that's one of our key areas of focus, which is fair trials, due process. And when I talk about a fair trial, I talk about, for one, when you're arrested, immediately after you're arrested, you are entitled to be told the reason for your arrest. You are entitled to be promptly told of the charges that you're facing. You are entitled to legal representation of your choice. You're also the government or the police or the arresting authorities are obliged to produce you before a court of law to determine the legality of your arrest within 48 hours. So these are, recognized due process rights that ensure that a person is not arbitrarily detained. So I will, without commenting on what's happened most recently in terms of the Freeman Mbowe case, I'll just talk about the work that we've done, particularly in Tito Magoti's case. And you know, in 2019, late in 2019, December, we took up the case of Tito Magoti. So that's engaging in advocacy as well as assisting the Legal and Human Rights Center in filing a petition with the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention. And the decision, basically one of our main arguments to the working group petition was the manner in which Mr. Magoti was arrested. And Mr. Magoti and his colleague, they were, you know, taken off in an unmarked van. And we later learned that they had been handcuffed and blindfolded. They were, you know, missing or disappeared for a number of days, where their family and lawyers did not know where they were, because one, when the police officers arrested them, they took them in an unmarked vehicle and nobody was told where they were. So they essentially disappeared, which is a violation under regional and international law. Eventually, I think when Legal Human Rights Center filed a habeas corpus petition, like basically demanding that the state let people know where they are, they were produced before a court of law. And unfortunately, they were charged under with a number of charges, criminal charges, including money laundering. And under Tanzania's Criminal Procedure Act, I think it's section 148(5)(a), they were automatically denied bail. So Tanzania, under that section, I think 7 other crimes, you automatically get denied bail. And I think one is murder, treason, armed robbery, defilement, and then serious drug crimes, as well as terrorism and money laundering. If you're charged with any of these crimes, the High Court or the Magistrate Court has no jurisdiction to hear an application for bail pending appeal. Maria, do you want me to stop here, or will you just tell me when you want me to stop, and then I can do that?
Sure. Thank you so much. Let me just do a quick recap. And as I told the listeners, I will not be doing a literal translation, just sort of recapping, because I think most people understand the major points of what you've been speaking about. In the meantime, I would like to also welcome Dudley. Dudley, it's very good to see you, and you'll soon be getting in as well. We're just waiting for Mouya to sort of run us through some of the most important international aspects when it comes to arbitrary detention. Kwa hiyo Mouya ametueleza kwamba kitu ambacho wanazingatia kama American Bar Association wanapokuwa wanafuatilia kesi kama hizi ni kwamba Tanzania ni sehemu au imeweka saini katika mikataba ya kimataifa, ikiwemo mkataba wa Kiafrika inapokuja kwenye haki za binadamu. Kuna haki ambazo zinaitwa haki za kisiasa na za kiraia, ambapo kuna ibara mbalimbali zinazohakikisha kwamba wanakuwa kwa mfano watu ambao wanashukiwa au watuhumiwa wanapewa haki zao na kadhalika. Lakini pia amezungumzia kesi ya Tito Magoti, ambapo yeye pamoja na mwenzake sio walichukuliwa na gari ambalo lilikuwa halina alama yoyote ya kuonyesha kwamba ni ya polisi au ni ya usalama, na pia wakapotea bila watu walio karibu yao kufahamu. Kwa hiyo hii kwa kitaalam inasema ni kupotezwa, disappearance, ambayo kwa lugha nyepesi tunasema kutekwa. Kwa hiyo hii ni actually wanasema ni kosa kubwa sana chini ya sheria ya kimataifa, lakini hata chini ya katiba yetu na chini ya sheria za kimataifa na kadhalika. Kwa hiyo katika hili kitu ambacho walikifanya ni kujaribu kuangalia kesi kwa upana wake, kujaribu kuangalia kwamba ni mikataba ipi ambayo haikufuatwa, ikiwemo hizi za kimataifa. Kwa hiyo ataendelea kutupa zaidi kuhusiana na hiyo. Please continue, Mouya.
Yes, so forgive me if I repeat some of the things. So the working group found that